You're hosting a slumber party for noisy 5th graders and dinner is a toss-up. Will it be Papa John's or Little Caesars? In a head-to-head of two of the biggest pizza chains, who will come out on top? We're looking at everything from price to spice to give you the answer. Little Caesars has a reputation for low prices, extra grease, and convenience. The first restaurant opened in a Detroit suburb in 1959, and from early on, the pizzeria emphasized giving patrons a good deal on its pies. Their famous slogan,
Pizza, pizza,
advertised that you could buy 2 there for the price of 1 elsewhere. Then, in the late 90s, Little Caesars drew customers in with the promise of convenience as well as cheap pizza. More than 20 years later, the Hot and Ready campaign still claims anyone can walk into a franchise and ask for pizza or breadsticks from the warmer at any time with no wait. Of course, that's big talk, and you probably want to know if the alluring prices and convenience are really there. If everything is as good as the advertising says, and you can buy 2 hot and ready pizzas from Little Caesars for the price of 1 at Papa John's, you might doubt the quality of the product. Logic would dictate the company must cut corners somewhere to offer up pizza so quickly at such a low price. We set out to test the convenience and price by visiting our local Little Caesars, and then eating a few slices to see if the quality, taste, or texture had suffered. You might remember the old Papa John's slogan,
better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
But these days, it's
better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some.
The publicly traded company is still rebranding itself to create distance from founder John Schnatter, who was slammed after using a racial slur in 2018. In addition to adding a line to the slogan, the company has also taken the apostrophes off their signs to assure customers it's not John's Pizza they're buying. Despite these efforts, it's unlikely that the disagreeable things Schnatter said will have an impact on the quality or price of the pizza more than 5 years after he resigned. The first part of the slogan concretely promises that the quality of the ingredients at Papa John's is better, and that gives consumers a better pizza. Since it doesn't mention price or convenience, you might assume pizza at this chain takes longer to prepare and costs more in the name of better taste and texture. A quick visit to the local franchise tested these theories and gave us the chance to try some of those allegedly better ingredients. If you make the right order, Little Caesars is significantly cheaper than Papa John's. So if you're worried about feeding a large group, you'll get more bang for your buck at the Emperor's Pizza Shop. Consider this. 3 large pizzas from Little Caesars costs us under $32, while 2 smalls and a large from Papa John's had a price of around $45. Simply put, it costs a lot more for a lot less food at the second pizzeria. Then, a large pepperoni from Little Caesars costs around $8, while the same product at the other chain goes for over $10 more. That more than justifies Little Caesars' claim that you can get 2 pizzas for the price of 1. Custom pizzas tell a similar story. A large pizza with regular crust with 3 toppings from Little Caesars costs about $12, while a similar meal from Papa John's goes for nearly double that. One way to get a deal at the second pizza chain was to order 2 large, 2-topping pizzas with a drink for about $24. Even so, a large 2-topping from Little Caesars can cost under $10. Despite Little Caesars' claim that its locations can save customers time, it's not that much faster to buy pizza there than at Papa John's. Call in an order, and either place prepares it in under 20 minutes. Yes, the hot and ready setups allow customers to walk in and buy pizza on the spot, but there are a few caveats. First, what you can purchase depends on what they have available. So if you need to feed a specific number or want a specific pizza, you'd be better off calling in your order ahead because other customers might have already emptied the hot and ready station. Then, if you want a special kind of crust or more interesting toppings than pepperoni, you'll find the website is the easiest way to do that. The lines at each pizzeria are something you might want to consider as well, because you have to order ahead at Papa John's. The cashier is able to turn over your pizzas much more quickly since, at most, all they have to do is ring you up. There are rarely other customers in line there. Walking into a Little Caesars is a different experience. Since it welcomes walk-ins, there's often a longer line, and patrons may have to negotiate longer with the customer service rep.
How long is this going to take?
Pizza starts with the crust. It should allow other ingredients to shine, but never overpower cheese, sauce, or toppings. Because pizza eaters look for vastly different qualities in crust, chains usually offer variety. Little Caesars and Papa John's each have 6 styles. Both have regular, thin, and stuffed crusts. Only Little Caesars lets you add pepperoni inside stuffed, while the other chain offers garlic. Thin and floppy New York style is on the menu at Papa John's, while thick and greasy Detroit style appears at the competition. Little Caesars stands out with pretzel crust, while Papa John's allures a new demographic with a gluten-free crust. The taste depends on the variety. Papa John's regular was chewier and sweeter, while Little Caesars was softer, saltier, and far greasier. The Papa John's and Little Caesars thin crust tasted very similar. Each was less salty than regular and pleasantly crisp. Little Caesars pretzel dough was softer than regular and so salty it was difficult to eat. Finally, the gluten-free crust from Papa John's had a pleasant texture and taste. It was not crumbly or dry like many other gluten-free products. This is a strong fast food offering for anyone with a wheat allergy or sensitivity, although Papa John's warns those with celiac disease to avoid it due to the possibility of cross-contamination. The sauce you put on a pizza can make a big difference in the taste, and Papa John's claims theirs is better. From the beginning, Schnatter appeared in commercials and TV interviews always saying his pizza was better because he used better sauce. He described how the company buys fresh-packed tomatoes that go from the vine to the can in less than 6 hours. There are just 8 ingredients in it, including olive oil, and it tastes sweet, tomatoey, and fresh.
Our sauce is made with fresh-packed, vine-ripened tomatoes.
Little Caesars hasn't made much hullabaloo about the tomatoes used in its crazy sauce, which is sharper, spicier, and saltier than the competition. It also has noticeable pieces of herbs in it which negatively affects the texture. If you read the ingredients list, you'll see fresh California crushed tomatoes instead of fresh packed in under a day, which is how Papa John's ingredient list reads. Interestingly, large brands of canned tomatoes, like Red Gold, harvest and can tomatoes in less than an hour. That means that Little Caesars could likely make the same fresh pack claim as Papa John's, but spend its marketing energy elsewhere. Regardless, neither pizza chain uses concentrate to make its sauce. Ultimately, even though the difference may not be the packing time for tomatoes, the sauce at Papa John's has a more attractive flavor profile. Papa John's has a more extensive list of toppings than Little Caesars. In fact, Papa John's has all the same toppings as Little Caesars, and then some. So if you're looking for common pizza ingredients like sausage, pepperoni, mushrooms, or olives, Little Caesars is a fine destination. On the other hand, if you want fresh veggies like spinach and Roma tomatoes, you should head to Papa John's, because you won't find those at the other chain. You can buy the Papa John's specialty garden fresh pizza, featuring raw pepper, onion, tomato, mushrooms, and olives for about $20. Alternatively, the veggie pizza from Little Caesars includes mushrooms, peppers, olives, and onions, and costs around $12. It's worth noting you could easily buy a couple of tomatoes and add them for far less than that $8 difference. At Papa John's, you can also order pizza with grilled chicken, meatballs, salami, Philly steak, or anchovies, none of which can be found on Little Caesars' menu. Pepperoni pizza is more expensive at Papa John's, but paying a few extra bucks gets you superior taste. The topping tastes far spicier at Little Caesars than it does at Papa John's, and that may appeal to some people. The worst thing about this Little Caesars product, though, is how greasy it is. The pizzas from both pizzerias left stains on the boxes, but the cardboard from Little Caesars looks soaked with the stuff. Better the grease stays on the packaging than ends up in your stomach, but if that's the amount you see on the outside, probably ingested some too. Alternatively, both chains offer cuppy pepperoni, but with creative names. At Papa John's, it's known as crispy cuppy-roni. Little Caesars calls its cheaper offering the old world fanceroni pepperoni. If no one told you Papa John's gluten-free crust was gluten-free, you'd probably never guess it. In fact, you might even think it was a special kind of thin crust that's spongy instead of crisp. Its flavor is soft and pleasant and truly complements the toppings. You can only order it with particular pizzas. For example, there's no option for a gluten-free crust on several of the specialty pizzas, like the Zesty Italian and the Meatball Pizza. Pizzas with this crust only came in a small size, but only cost a little more than a small with regular crust. What's most wonderful about this gluten-free pizza, though, is what it represents more than how it tastes. People with wheat sensitivities so often get left out at family gatherings and birthday parties because the food isn't for them. This pizza is a step towards including family and friends with a special dietary need, since you can now order takeout that people with wheat allergies can eat. If you enjoy extremely salty foods, the Little Caesars pretzel crust is for you. Pepperoni pizza is already very salty, as there's generally salt from the crust, sauce, cheese, and pepperoni slices.
That sounds salty.
Then, Little Caesars added more salt studded around the crust and on top of the slice. It's arguably too much, and if you order this pizza, you should have a huge glass of water to drink with it. Another disappointing characteristic of this pizza was the pretzel crust looks so much darker and pretzel-like in the advertising photos. In real life, it looks almost exactly like regular crust. However, one positive thing about this crust is it's less greasy. The other two pepperoni pizzas left the boxes under them stained with grease, and there was much less under the pretzel crust. In general, the pizzas from both Papa John's and Little Caesars are pretty mediocre, so visit your local family-owned pizzeria instead if you have one nearby. If your heart is set on one of the two chains though, call up Papa John's. It's got the best tasting pizza, and the Garden Fresh on regular crust is particularly tasty. Your taste buds will thank you for ordering most of the other specialty pizzas on the menu there as well. The crust is sweeter, the sauce is smoother, the cheese is less greasy, and the veggies are fresher. On the other hand, if you want to order classic cheese or pepperoni, get that from Little Caesars. The price difference more than justifies the choice, and the taste and quality are similar. Finally, if you need to feed a large group, Little Caesars is the best. You'll spend far less there and get a lot more food to appease the masses.